From the NCPD Council on Mental Illness, Conversations on Faith and Mental Illness. Steps that parishes can take to welcome people with mental illness, Part 1, with Deacon Tom Lambert, Co-Chair, NCPD Council on Mental Illness, and Bob Quinlan, Project Manager at NCPD. So today we're going to have a conversation on how parishes can welcome people with mental illness and their families into the parish and give them that sense of belonging that they're looking for in a parish. And we're going to be basing some of this on a document that we will have available on our website titled Steps That Parishes Can Take to Welcome People with Mental Illness and Their Family. And it'll list a whole bunch of different steps that we'll be discussing in this video and the next couple of videos. But today we're going to be discussing specifically those things that a parish can do that occur around the Mass, either in the Mass or right next to the Mass. And these are really kind of the easy steps that a parish can take, so we thought we'd start with them. And so you want to tell us what some of them are, Tom?
Yeah, and these are, again, like you said, three things that parishes can do, and the Mass is what, most parishioners are gathered for at the one time. So this is really the most efficient or proficient way to get the message out.
Right.
So one of the things that parishes can do is, like, right in the middle of the liturgy, we have the prayers of the faithful. And at the prayers of the faithful, we obviously are praying for our community. And so some of those prayers, especially during May and the first week of October, which are periods of time in the year when their concentration is on mental health, we can specifically pray for people who have mental illnesses. And I always recommend that we name the illness rather than just the general category of mental illness. So if we say schizophrenia, bipolar illness, depression, and this puts a specificity to the illness so that people understand, because there is a lot of misunderstanding out in the general public anyway about what our mental illness is. So by incorporating this into the prayers of the faithful, we're letting people know that this is a parish that understands, this is a parish that wants to pray for and with people who have mental illnesses. So that would be, I think, the first and a very key step a parish can take.
Right, and I think that if that gets worked in, I know there are certain specific times of the year that are more appropriate to do that, but if it does work in, more regularly into the Mass, into the prayers and the concerns of the parish, and people with those mental illnesses hear that and hear their mental illness more specifically, that really, it helps them identify the concern and the care that the parish has for them. And I think over time that builds in, they really do mean this. This is not just lip service.
Right. And that has to be, as you say, and that's a good point, is it has to be reinforced regularly. So I wouldn't wait just until May and October, but throughout the year. Absolutely right.
Sounds good.
Another way would be to incorporate in homilies. When priests or deacons are giving homilies, we can use mental illness as an issue. It's an issue of justice, for example. So if we want to talk about justice and the mental health care system, which is a real justice issue for people, that people get the care they need and services are available, this can be used as an example. Also, of course, Jesus is often, speaking about caring and compassion and mercy. And I think this is another way that we can use the example of people and families who are affected by mental illness, is that we care for them and we have a compassion for people who are going through illnesses and all illnesses. But when we mention the issue specifically, again, that registers in people's minds who are coming to Mass that this is a parish that wants to understand what I'm going through.
Right.
And as we know from the statistics, there's 1 in 4 people are affected, 1 in 22, they say, is serious and persistent and will be with them for the rest of their lives. So it affects many of our parishioners, both they themselves and their families.
Yeah, and I think that brings up something that'll naturally occur when you hear a homily, is that because of the prevalence, almost everybody and almost every priest is going to have firsthand experience, whether their family or indirectly through their family, and certainly through their ministry, of how they have experienced it, and it'll be a real life story, a real personal story. And so that when you hear a personal story like that and what a person has gone through, that makes a lot. That just kind of reinforces what we're saying with the prayers of the faithful. You hear that compassionate expression from the priest, and that goes a long way. And people really like to hear it from the priest. I know we're all family and it's all a parish and it's more than just the priest, but having that reinforced from the priest really does do a lot.
Well, it does, and the priest is the spiritual head of the parish, the pastor, and so he does give us, insight and information that helps us all to better understand the issues that face the community. And because the stigma is so great around mental illness, one of the ways to break down that stigma and break down the barriers of people not willing to talk about it, and I understand why, because of the stigma, but we can break those barriers down. And one of the very positive and powerful ways is when you hear someone from the pulpit saying, this is what it is, and this is what we need to do as people of faith. So it's a great way. And we have homily hints on our website, the NCPD website. So there's another, in addition to the steps, this is another information piece that people can go to our website and get.
Right, and those links or those documents should be right next to this video on our website, but also if you're watching this on YouTube, that'll be in the description section. There'll be links to those as well, so you can access them there.
Great. And one of the other steps that is, I think, directly related to the liturgy, in the sense that when people come to church on Sunday, they pick up a bulletin. And in the bulletin, we have, again, on our website, a list of bulletin articles that churches can put into the bulletin. And again, it's more than just one article. So it's a series, and by being a series of information about mental illness, it reinforces, over time, what the issues are, what we can do as church. So that bulletin articles, I think, are, again, a very powerful way of sending a message to the community that this is a place that wants to understand, wants to provide a place where people with mental illness and their families can come and talk about what they face.
Right.
And if we do that in the bulletin, or even some parishes have newsletters or other ways of communicating. So these are opportunities to let the parish know we understand.
Yeah, it's a multi-tiered approach. I mean, the parish, has to deal with a lot on many different levels, but this is something that is part of our families, and we need to reduce that stigma. And so it's what we're providing this video and the resources so that we make it easier for parishes to make those in their community aware that they care and that this is not such a foreign thing to them. We all deal with it, so let's just move forward,
Exactly. Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, I think those are some great tips, and we will talk about more at our next session.
Sounds great. Okay. Thanks, Tom.
Bye.
Resources that supplement this video are available at ncpd.org/mivideo. From the NCPD Council on Mental Illness, conversations on faith and mental illness.